Hey guys, this is Stephanie with Wild West Hot Rod Factory. Behind me is this year's Sema build, 1974 C3 Corvette. This car is going to get some extensive body modifications. Let's take a look around and see what all we're going to do. Here's a little look at the rendering for the body modifications that we're going to be doing. We are going to shorten the front and the rear by about a foot. We're going to extend the fenders and the quarters by about 6 inches to accommodate a 13-inch wide wheel. So I brought in an expert to show me exactly where to cut this car to make the modifications that I wanted to make. Luckily, he's my husband, so he works cheap.
All right, well, I'm gonna take a walk around the car here and just kind of show you some of the cut lines. Where we're gonna start is gonna be on the front fenders here. We've marked out our center line here at the front of the car, and as she stated before, the front of this car is going to get shortened about 6 inches. The modifications she wanted to make, she didn't want to have the traditional wide wheel flares that everyone does on these cars. She wants more of a modern touch to the wheel flare. So where we're going to cut the car to start with is going to be right up through here at this line. We picked what we thought would be the most natural spot to cut the car and accentuate the factory body line. So we're going to split it here. We're going to actually move this fender out 1.5 inches, and then as we do that, everything changes all the way down through the doors and everything. So that's going to get scooted out. The door will have a different cut line on it, and this is just sitting here loose right now, but we're going to split the quarter panel down through here, and that'll also get 1.5 inches widened here. Now, with that width that we're going to add there, we are going to add the wheel flares to the car that will be grafted in, but it's going to have a little bit more modern touch and look more like the modern Corvette. So I'll just go right back up here to the rendering just to kind of explain this. But yes, we're going to make our own setup there as far as we're going to make our own molds and everything. We're going to work closely with a friend of mine that has a very killer sign shop and has some cool CNC machining equipment. It's Jim at Synergy Sign. He will take our dimensions, put them in the computer per our design, and he's going to actually make a piece that will turn into, we will turn it into a mold to pull these out of. So that'll be a start there. Now the next thing that we're going to look at is the front headlights. We did take some inspiration from a car called the Green Mamba, and we don't want to copy anybody's stuff, but we're definitely going to use his inspiration, if you will, and we're going to lay that down in here a little bit and put the lights along the top edge so we don't lose the lines of the Corvette, but what we're going to do is accentuate those lines drastically. At the front portion of the car here, this lower portion of the original fender is going to get basically cut off, and when we start to shape out of foam our mold piece, this is going to come more vertical, straight up and down. It won't roll underneath the car quite as much. The other feature that Steph wanted on the car, she wanted to bring the cove into the doors. So that tape's just kind of roughly marking out how far back those coves are going to come. As we widen everything else out, that section where the cove is going to stay right about where it's at. We've got to be really careful with the way that we widen this car so that the doors will still open. As we bring everything out, it changes the geometry of the hinge and the body where they meet. So we don't want to have any binding issues when we go to open the door. Around the back here, we don't have a sketch here of that. I've got that at the other shop. But the back of the car is going to have more of a C6 styling to it. And if you see the line marked on the side here, that's going to be shortened up and cut approximately where that tape is. So this car is getting shortened significantly and widened significantly. Like I say, almost a foot shorter and about 6 inches wider overall. Around the back here, where the original vents used to sit up here in the front, these are going to be sliced, rolled down, and coved in, and those vents will be at about a 45-degree angle instead of flat. The next item that we're not quite sure where we're headed yet, we want to very, clean up where the door handles were. Steph had thought about a couple different ideas on that, but we're not sure what direction we're heading there. But the locks and these handles are definitely going to go away. And she's got all kinds of ideas as far as the powertrain and everything. It's going to be a big block, 468 cubic inch, and it will be a manual transmission. She's going to stuff 13-inch wide tires under the rear. The front will have, what was going to be 11-inch wide rims on the front.
Yes.
So with all these modifications, we've got a lot of fiberglass work to do. It will take quite a bit of labor to pull this off. We are looking and working with Detroit Speed on the suspension at this point in time. They have some of the best stuff on the market as far as stuff that really works when it comes to modifying these cars to handle and perform properly. So we're really excited to be working with them on the project. Okay, Stephanie has plans for a big block in this car with a Torque Storm supercharger. Lay down some serious power. It will be a manual shift transmission. Tremec transmission will be behind that. The rear end will be a 12-bolt conversion underneath here with the Detroit Speed suspension, and it will be a side pipe car. We're going to do some unique side pipes that will have some very interesting touches to them. And other than that, this is going to be probably every couple weeks we're going to put a post up and give you some updates on the progress as it happens with the car.